on to the Plan Commission meeting for July 16, 2024. The first thing is to call to the order to the meeting, and second is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any question, comments? Here none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the June 18 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So next we move to public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone on the room to speak about non-agenda item? Nope. So, okay, we move to agenda review. Any question, comment about the agenda? No? Okay. So next we move to item 5, agenda items. And we are going to go to the first public hearing. So I will open the public hearing and consideration of conditional use CU-2556-24, request by Melissa Butcher, agent for Mad Power Training Center, LLC, to obtain an amusement and recreation servicing, drinking places, and restaurant conditional use permit to operate an event space as well as a potential future restaurant located on property associated with 5264 Anton Drive. So we have a couple of people that they wish to speak, so we're going to start. I'm going to call you to the microphone. Everyone has 3 minutes to speak about the topic. So where? See? And there. Okay.
Dave wants to speak and Eric.
Okay. Okay.
But do you want to let them do their presentation too?
Do you have a presentation, Bill, first? Okay. I don't know. Come in. Nick, do you have the presentation? Okay. So we have Williams Cole. He wishes to speak in support. Rachel Bauer. Melissa Butcher. For now. So you can introduce yourself and repeat, say your address, and then go ahead with your presentation.
Okay. You may have guessed I'm Bill Cole of the three. Melissa Butcher, Rachel Bauer are my business colleagues. I want to thank you for this opportunity to represent to the council the business plan for Blue Sky. I've been the sole owner of the business since 2017, and I'll co-own this business that's going to be in the building on your approval. We hope that you're going to agree that the proposed use of this is consistent with the city's objectives for that area, the space in the neighborhood. We hope that you'll agree that this is a positive for the neighborhood in an area where buildings seem to be becoming increasingly abandoned or vacant. I think you'd like to know that the building is also financed by Fitchburg's Oak Bank. We also, our general contractor is Fitchburg Supreme Structures. I think most of you probably are aware of them. We think that you'll find that there's no conflicts of interest with some other expressed uses of the area that city officials have expressed. So we're eager to address any concerns or questions you have. And with that, I'd like to turn over to Melissa Butcher for a brief presentation we have on the business plan.
All right, thank you. I'm Melissa Butcher. I go by Mel, and we're happy to be here to present Blue Sky to you. So I'm going to do a brief overview, and everything about this overview is in the first section of the packet that we handed to you, and then I'm going to go into addressing the additional city comments and questions that we received a few days ago. So it was mentioned that we're at 5264 Anton Drive. The property was originally built as a restaurant and bar. It was purchased in 2017 and converted to an event venue and fitness studio. So our vision and our mission is really to turn this into a family-oriented special event venue to commemorate life milestones. So first and foremost, things like weddings, but also things like anniversary parties, retirement parties, quinceañeras, etc. You may be familiar with a couple of the venues around the region that are similar to what we're aiming to do, the Tin Smith in downtown and Burr Oak in the Atwood neighborhood. We're really attempting to model our business after the Tinsmith. So this is a business that caters to weddings and wedding receptions, and they occasionally do private parties, etc. So I'll also just mention that I've noted on the bottom left of the slides where it corresponds to a specific page in the packet that you have in front of you. So we are a special event venue for family celebrations and gatherings, and our emphasis, our goal is to focus on the special events that are listed in bold: wedding receptions, baby showers, anniversary parties, etc. This is the team, so I won't belabor this. I think the highlights are that Rachel has extensive hospitality experience, including owning and operating a hotel with an event space, and I have extensive experience planning and executing special events and conferences. So we are confident in our ability to execute on the plan that we've got. If you aren't familiar with the location, this is just an overview of the businesses that are in the business district nearby this building. So Blue Sky sits between the building that was formerly Little John's and the Wisconsin Latino Chamber. This is an aerial view of the building. It looks a bit different now because the owner, Mr. Cole, recently resurfaced the parking lot, repainted the parking lot. So it's a little bit different now, but this is the general overview of the building. We want to draw attention to this occupancy number briefly. Basically, we wanted to point out that this is not a number we made up. This was in the building when it was purchased in 2017, meaning this was the limit that the fire department set when the building was used as the dry bean. We are, of course, not asking for any limit that is near that number. We worked with a local architect to have calculations done on what the occupancy should be based on the square footage that we have and will be using in this building. And the number he came up with was 377. This corresponds to page 19 in your package. And again, we're not asking for this number, we're asking for a limit of 300. This is a brief overview of some of the changes that we need to make inside the building. The building is not ready to use as is, so we do have to make investment in order to use this as an event space. The big things that we've got to do initially are remove a couple of rooms, some walls that are in the main hall, and replace a very great deal of flooring. And of course, we'd be happy to come back and answer questions on any of these at the end. We included an ideal calendar for Blue Sky. So Rachel and I are going to be running primarily this day-to-day operations, and we don't plan on running events every single day of the week. So this represents what we hope will be an ideal month for Blue Sky, where we've got an emphasis on being booked over the weekends, especially with things like weddings and wedding receptions. And with that, I'd like to transition to answering questions and comments that we received from the city. So the city stated that it would be helpful to have a statement from the previous applicant why they chose not to proceed. You can see their complete response in the packet that's in front of you. If you just go to where that little plastic tab is, you can see his entire response. We think that the highlights here are that they evaluated the potential for doing business with the restrictions that the commission put in their cup, and since they couldn't stay open till 2 a.m., and run the events that they wanted to run late nights on Friday and Saturday, they could not make the financials work to move forward with a restaurant and bar in that location. They also emphasized that the capital investment for doing a commercial kitchen is extremely high, not something that they could afford to do without having those events to bring in extra income. The city asked for a description of any meetings with neighborhood and neighbors. We did host a neighborhood meeting on July 11th, and then we've also done follow-up with neighbors who didn't make it to the meeting to try to do our due diligence and make sure we're talking to everyone and getting any concerns. So I've got highlights from you. Again, these are all in the packet, in the back of the packet you've got in front of you if you'd like to read them fully. We spoke to both alderpersons of this area, starting with Joe Maldonado. He stated that we like to see the buildings fully utilized as possible and that he's supportive of this business and doesn't have any concerns over the nature of our business. David Herbst stated that he was pretty excited about the idea of having weddings at this venue, supports it, and again emphasized the desire to see buildings used for commerce and that underutilized buildings don't help anyone. We spoke to the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor and Business Bureau, and we wanted to highlight Brandon especially, who is the director of events. He stated that he had been to the space when it was run as Mad Power, when there were live music events there. He stated that it was packed and that there were never any issues. He also said that Fitchburg lacks event space and that he usually refers people to Barnwood events in Madison. So for him, this was a pretty exciting proposal. We spoke to the director of the Catholic Multicultural Center, which has a location several doors down from us. He expressed no concerns over the type of business and welcomed us to the neighborhood. We spoke to another neighboring business, Capital City Auto. He liked our plan and said he had no concerns over a private event venue and wished us luck. Moving on to additional city questions and comments. The May Cup included the potential for shared parking with the Latino Chamber. We have discussed this with the Latino Chamber, and they're open to this arrangement, and we're open to exploring it further if the need dictates. The city said in the example events and calendar chart, ticketed/cover charge events and local musicians are included. What's the difference? So we want to be very clear here that Blue Sky will only host completely private, invitation-only events such as weddings and ticketed events where a guest must have paid for entry in advance. So that would be things like magic shows or board game nights or live music, which of course includes local musicians. The city asked where will up to 30 part-time staff park. We do understand that our parking must accommodate both patrons and staff, and at no point do we expect to have 30 team members on site at the same time. We will have a pool of part-time team members, such as catering support, to pull from in order to adequately staff each event respectively. The city stated that the May Cup required security when alcohol is served. Blue Sky will have security for ticketed events, and that includes live music's local musicians. We will work with the local police department, whom we've already been in contact with, to implement an appropriate security plan. The city asked if we could provide approximate percentages of our revenue streams, and we are happy to do so. We are expecting approximately 85% of our revenue to come from private, family, and corporate events, and 15% to come from ticketed events. The city asked for clarification about a statement regarding access to Verona Road. So we presume that Anton Drive is a frontage road accessing Verona Road. It has access to Verona Road in both directions via Williamsburg Way to the north, which is 0.3 miles away, and McKee Road to the south, which is just over half a mile away. The city stated that our application and the May Cup are essentially the same. Plan Commission could reasonably expect essentially the same set of conditions. So we disagree with this. Our application is substantially different in that we are a private event and ticketed only event venue, which means we are not open to the public. Blue Sky is proposing an event venue with a primary focus on family and corporate private events. So we're a hospitality business. Rachel and I are hospitality professionals, and we are 100% not restaurateurs. Moving on now to the memorandum of staff recommendations. The property last came before the Plan Commission in May to approve a cup for an event space with alcohol in a restaurant. The applicant is seeking to expand the number of events and hours of operation. So we just want to emphasize that our application is different in that we're a private event and ticketed-only event venue, which is not open to the public. We are seeking to expand the number of events compared to Mount Power because we are solely focused on special life milestone events. And we have requested earlier hours compared to World of Beer, but we did not request later hours. The city stated that this conditional use permit, their recommendation is for it to expire in July of 2016-2025. And we wish to point out that the city has multiple options to revoke a conditional use permit, including via the Fitchburg Police Department. And we therefore ask that we be granted a continuous permit, as is standard practice. And you can probably guess that there's not going to be a great way for us to schedule weddings if we have a permit that expires in a year. And with that, we would be delighted to take any questions.
Yeah, I have enough. Okay, yeah. So, okay, thank you very much. We have a couple of other people that they want to speak. I want to call Alder Dave Hurst. He wishes to speak in support.
Good evening, board members. Dave Herbst, 2619 King James Way. I've lived within shouting distance of this building most of my adult life. I'm in favor of this. It fills a demand. I would tell you the events they're having are needed. There's not space. The one I would point out, if you go by Three Fountains in the morning during the school year, when you see children getting on school, you can see the number of young ladies. The quinceañeras, just that itself, I think would keep it pretty busy. We have a wonderful park that many residents and new fountains in the area use, but it's not quite appropriate for a little more formal event like this. So I believe a lot of the demand would come right from the neighborhood. This would make good use of a currently underutilized building that is in very good condition, I'd add. I want to make sure that our buildings are utilized. It benefits the city and increases our tax base, and this will be an asset to the community. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. So next I have Erica Poole. She's online. Nick.
Hi there. I'm here on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So I'm here both as a Fitchburg resident and a local business owner based out of Fitchburg. I want to express my support for Blue Sky for several reasons. First, we only have one other event venue in Fitchburg. It's primarily outdoor events. Having more special event spaces it's good for everybody, both for everybody who has a life event, which we all do, as well as businesses that could also use this space. Secondly, as multiple people have said, vacant buildings are not good for the neighborhood. They're not good for business. They're not good for property values. Having tenants in the space with a plan ready to go, that's really exciting, and I hope that we can support that. Third, as somebody with a local business, I want to raise a concern about the conditional use permits that expire in a year. As a business owner myself, I find this a bit disturbing. It creates an environment that says we're unwelcoming to small businesses. And as a city, I think we're better than that. And I hope that we can create more business-friendly practices. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it, and then we don't have anyone else? No. Okay, so now we move to a staff report, please.
I'm not going to read through everything that was, because I think the applicants have touched on most of the comments that staff had very specifically. Staff has prepared a set of 16, potential conditional uses or conditions for the conditional use permit. I think what I'll do is just take any questions or concerns from the commission.
Okay, so thank you. So now I am open to question for the commissioners. I don't know who wants to go first. Carol.
I have a question about the parking and the restriction for on-street parking, that it's not permitted. How is that planned? How are we planning to accommodate the amount of parking that this venue is going to need with 250 people, and how are we going to enforce no on-street parking?
This was a condition that was in the previous, and the point here was to ensure that the activities at the property would not spill over. There isn't a good way for us to enforce it, to be honest.
How many spaces do they have in their plan?
I think there's about 85.
Just on their property?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other question, comment? Shelley?
Okay, I'll start. For your ticketed events, that is, so it's not open to the public, it's ticketed events. Will you be having your bar open during that time?
Yes, the bar would be open during ticketed events.
And then what's your experience or your predictions for the capacity during those events, not the family events?
Well, I believe the cup limits us to whatever that number is, right? We're requesting 300. Right. The city is asking for 250. So if it was a jokey night or a comedy, that number could be as little as 100. It might even be 50. I think weddings are probably the event that is going to have the largest number of people. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, it did. And then, so you said you're going to have a security plan for the ticket events. Do you have a security plan for your other events, weddings and everything?
So weddings are not typically, it's not customary for there to be security for weddings. Weddings are typically monitored by, the last time that you've been to a wedding, you find that someone has a little too much to drink or, is arguing with someone else, and what happens? The entire family steps in. The cousin gets that person out of there. Someone drives them home. They call a cab. Security at a wedding is almost unheard of. I can't find an example where there's security at a wedding. Anytime there's a music event, there absolutely has to be security. Those are typically secured events. A board game night wouldn't have security. I've never been to a coffee shop or a VFW hall where they had a security officer there because we were playing board games. So it goes back to what does the police department feel is an appropriate security plan, and how do we implement that plan with them? We're prepared to do that.
Okay. I ask these questions, and I'm interested in my fellow commissioners' feelings. When we last looked at the CUP in May, there was concern about this being a fragile neighborhood and spilling over of people leaving the venue at a certain time and maybe not congregating at the location, but a block away, and parking was an issue in all of that. I voted for the CUP because while I was also concerned about the fragility of the neighborhood and the transition of it, but I thought that there would be also a benefit to the neighbors. They would be able, because there was going to be a restaurant, so they could stop in for lunch, they could stop in for a dinner, they could stop in for a drink after work, and it was neighborhood accessible, which I don't see this in your proposal. But I'm torn because I think it's an excellent proposal otherwise, and I'm assuming we do need event space. So I'm curious with our other attitudes on the commission who had been concerned about the other proposal, and I think a trigger was a Latin dance night with lots of people leaving at a certain time and starting late and leaving late, but And maybe that's the difference, but I'm not concerned. I'm going to stop there. I want to hear what my fellow commissioners say, especially those who voted against the CUP last time.
May I address that, or?
Well, right now,
Yeah, so I was one of the one that voted no last time. So my question to you is, how you are different from the other conditional use permit? Because when I look at the other conditional use permit, they were like some activity were private and some activity were open to the public. And I want to understand, for me, a ticketed event is open to the public. It means that it's open to all of us that we want to buy a ticket. You know what I mean? So, and you mentioned that 85% of your activity will be more like weddings, quinceañeras, it's fine. I like that part. But about the 15% of your activity that is ticketed events that is open to the public. And my concern is because we say no, we approve the other conditional use permit with more requirements than this one, is I want to be consistent. I don't want to be unfair to the other applicants because they also, most of the activity was open. In your case, it's more private, but then you have 15% that is open to the public. So how do you differentiate your application with the other one? Why are they different beside the private event with your ticketed event?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I certainly respect the concern there, right, and what Shelley mentioned. One of the key differences between us and what the previous applicant was proposing was they were looking for something that looked more like a nightclub. Our ticketed events aren't going to look like a nightclub. You're not going to have large amounts of people leaving at the same time at the end of the night, right? So our ticketed events would look more like a local musician like Lo Marie coming in and playing, or having a jazz artist from 7 to 9 or 10. And that's a very different landscape that draws a very different crowd of people who do want to stop in for a beer, listen to some music, but they're not arriving at 10 o'clock and leaving at 2 a.m. They're not all leaving when the bar closes and it's time for last call. They're coming in to enjoy music, to enjoy themselves. And other ticketed events that don't include live music aren't going to fall in that same category, right? Those are going to be, board games that end at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, or a comedy show or something of that nature, right? Where again, you're going to be open to the public so the public can have some pre-planned ticketed event, paid for event, access to the property, but not like a nightclub, not there for dancing and drinking. And I do think that sets us significantly different than operating a nightclub. We're not a nightclub. We have no intentions of operating a nightclub. To the point of the being a benefit to the neighborhood, I feel like what we're trying to do there is not only create a venue that the neighborhood would use for their family events, but also be an employment pool, right? Where are we going to get the housekeepers, the bartenders, the caterers who, the people who are supporting that catering staff? They could come right from that neighborhood. And that could be a place where they both enjoy employment and also have the opportunity to celebrate their own family events there. So I do think that is what differentiates us.
Okay. Another question? Steven?
I guess just to give my 2 cents of it, when I read through the packet and the application, I was, thoroughly unimpressed. It was like, man, I'm living through deja vu again. It's basically the same thing. When you compared yourself to the two downtown businesses in terms of, regarding parking, I thought that's not even comparable. Again, applicants that don't, compare apples to orange or to apples. But the presentation has really blown me away. You're well prepared, and this is a very different type of business. And I feel much more comfortable with an event space because I've been to the Tin Place downtown, have had friends get married there, and now I can picture more of the type of environment that you're creating. It's an event space. It is not being run, really I don't want to say by you, but so I'm much more comfortable than I was coming in an hour ago, and yeah, it would still be interested in others' opinions, but that's where I'm sitting at.
Who else? Zach?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Stephen. I had a very similar reaction when I read it, and the parking is still an issue to me. I mean, I think for the events, it's tight, right? I mean, 85 spots isn't a lot for a wedding, so I'm very curious about that. But I agree, event space is lacking in Fitchburg, so this would be a good use of that space, in my opinion. I don't have any concerns with the ticketed events. I've been to plenty of those things. They're nice to be able to go to, and yeah, you usually end pretty early. You're not there to party and get drunk, really. So I think the capacity is still one that I'm kind of curious to hear other people's thoughts on, because again, the parking to me is a concern. I know that's limiting then on the weddings. I worked in the hospitality space for a long time, and I know numbers are really important, but it does concern me with the lack of parking spaces there. And I would agree with Erica on the conditional use expiration. Like, I think if we approve this, we shouldn't have that there. I think it's kind of weird, given that it can be revoked at any time.
I want to talk about the parking as well, because again, same thing, big concern, not as much of a in-hand agreement with the Chamber of Commerce to use theirs, which I still didn't really love that idea anyway. But I was thinking same thing with the last time I went to a wedding at the Tinsmith. Again, I hated the comparison because there's parking ramps right there. There's nothing here. I didn't drive though. When I go to a wedding, and that's where I couldn't do the math, and just sitting here, I realized 250 people at a wedding, you can't have 85 cars, most likely, but you could have 80 cars and 40 Ubers or 20 Ubers and taxis. That's very, like, when I go to a wedding, I don't drive. I think, most people might, if you're going to indulge, you wouldn't. So I'm less uneasy about that as well, because anything else, you're not going to hit that 250. But I do also agree. I think 250 is appropriate. Who has weddings at 300 anymore? You
never know.
So again, parking I'm better with, and I would say 250 is appropriate.
You have quinceañeras with 300 people.
You're right.
And many of them may walk over, and just as Stephen said, we talked with the owners of the Tinsmith and the Borough, and they said at least half the people come by Uber or carpool or whatever. So we had 250 people events there before, and 300, no parking issues.
I have a question about the security. Because you said that you don't have a security plan right now from the ticketed event right now with us. So something that we always ask. So you said that you're planning to talk to to coordinate with our police department. So what is your plan for that? Because you need to hire your own security. Our police department can guide you, assist you how to put a plan, but the security has to be provided by you.
Yep.
Okay.
Security does have to be provided by us. I believe that Melissa or Bill has had some previous experience with a company. Do you?
Yeah, for the events that were live music, there was a security guard. There were never any issues with it. You talked with the police recently. They didn't even know that there were events there. But whatever their recommendations are is what we would plan to proceed with per whatever type of event is going to be there. So that we continue the streak of no incidences at that property.
Yeah, because I think there is a ratio, how many, security per people that you need to have. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever their recommendation is what we'll plan to follow.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see that plan too, to feel more comfortable with this. Diana, can you explain about why we do 1 year, conditional use permit for this type of businesses?
We did that with the last conditional use permit for this address, and that has been the policy that we've used with COPA also on Index. So that policy has predated me. I'm not sure if it's been something that's been used consistently in other cases, but in the event center, Plan Commission in the past had some concerns about event venues and has approved a sunset date on the conditional use permit.
But when not the last approval in May, but prior to that, when it was the approval for like up to 6 events a month or whatever that was, how long were those?
That one did not have a sunset, and that one, it was a little bit different, that the events were 6 per month and secondary to the fitness activities.
But so that didn't have an expiration on that one?
It did not.
Okay.
Because it was a,
Supplementary to the primary,
okay.
yeah.
But also we did it with COPA. That one is the art center, isn't it? The art build. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
So I think that, if you're running a good business, coming, you shouldn't have any issue that we are going to renew your conditional use permit every year. So I don't know why it could be an impediment to you,
I'm curious, are you asking us to book weddings without permission to have an event?
I get it. Yeah.
I mean, I can't in right faith book a bride's wedding in July of 2025.
About that part.
Yeah. I mean, it's different if we were operating on a weekly basis, but these contracts go out quite some ways.
Yeah, you're right, because I have colleagues that they are securing a wedding
for years
for 2-3 years, yeah. So.
Tim Smith is
What-
booking
Makes
in
sense.
2026.
Okay. Oh, Steven.
What is the, Zach, you had alluded to it, why have the expiration? Because you can always revoke it. What does that look like? How easy is that for this? I'm just going down 2 paths here. Either what the presentation represents their business well, and we don't have to worry, or it could revert to concerns that we've had prior. And so what would that look like?
So there is a process to revoke a conditional use permit. I don't know that the city has done one, but staff would present a case and bring that forward to Plan Commission. Plan Commission would review that case and determine if it would be appropriate or not to revoke the conditional use permit.
Gabriela.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I supported the last conditional use and encouraged, removing the cap on the number of events because, like, ultimately, if they were going to move forward with it, I wanted them to succeed. So it's like if the business is coming, I want them to be able to succeed in the business. Otherwise, I don't see the point of approving a conditional use and making it not possible. So I appreciate that we didn't limit the number of events this time, but I'm open to extending the conditional use permit. I was impressed with the presentation. It seems like a really professional organization. I feel like if there's going to be a lot of on-site parking or on-street parking issues, I trust that we can bring it to them and you guys would resolve it. I'm seeing nodding heads, yeah, because I know that want to be respectful of the neighborhood. So I guess I think the argument that it's impossible to book these long-term events without a long-term condition is pretty convincing. I also am open to increasing the cap. I just, again, it's like I want people to be successful, and if that limits the number of events that they can book, then it makes it harder for the business to run. So I'm open to it.
Okay. Carol.
I have a couple questions. Has the fire department weighed in on the 250 capacity?
The fire department has not at this point.
I voted against the prior CUP for this property. I've lived in this district for a very long time. My primary concerns were is that, as many examples as we get of successful businesses like this in different areas of Madison and the surrounding area, this is in a residential neighborhood. Even though when you look at the overview that you see and you see Verona Road and all these businesses lining it, right across the street is one of the highest density apartment complexes it used to be in the state of Wisconsin. And I worry about large groups of people leaving at night, and hanging around in the neighborhoods. But what I like about this plan that makes it different from the prior one is that this seems like it's going to be better controlled. I think these applicants have a better understanding of the neighborhood, and they've operated in that neighborhood and been around that environment, so they will be making sure that their patrons are being respectful of the apartments across the street that might have 6 little kids going to sleep. They have to go to school tomorrow morning. I worry about the traffic a little bit and the parking, probably because I drive through there a lot. And it is frequently parked on both sides of the street, and there is a lot of traffic. So even with Ubers helping to alleviate the parking, that's going to create a lot of traffic in there too, where you still only got those 2 points to get out. But I think overall this is a much better plan, and I feel much more comfortable with this one. Thank you.
Any other question?
I just want to make a statement. It is a very polished presentation. It's probably you're probably going to do a wonderful job, and I will probably vote for it. But I just have to say that I am uncomfortable the way we seem to be assuming that a 300-person wedding that can get very happy and dancing and drinking, and I assume Stephen agrees since he takes Ubers to his weddings. I'm uncomfortable that we just assume that's a whole different ball game than a Latin dance night, and I don't like the feel of this. But I will probably vote for it because I do think event space is apparently needed in Fitchburg, and I think you do seem like you're going to run a very polished organization.
I echo that, although I will point out that we did approve it, and my number one concern was the hours. And that was when I led that meeting, and I said, can we just agree that we're not going to agree to 2 a.m.? That was off the table to begin with, and then became a negotiation, which I also don't appreciate as chair of the meeting. But in general, I point that out, though. I do think...
I know, we did.
But I feel the same
midnight
sentiment
also.
that you do, I think, that it feels a little different than the discussion we had 2 months ago.
Can you talk a little bit about the initial investment? How, because I was reading I don't know where I read it was $75,000, and then you mentioned in the original business plan $20,000. Do you know how?
The investment in...
Yeah, to renovate the building now. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I can speak to the initial part. So the 20,000 number is what is an approximation of what we've already invested. We've already begun to purchase equipment for the bar and for catering needs, etc. The total investment number, 75,000 that you saw, is where we're estimating right now. The slide that I showed you, where a room has to come out, some walls have to come out, all of the flooring has to be replaced. So we started to tally up some of those things and the additional equipment we need, and that's where I am right now. But I could be off because we haven't received the estimates yet from our contractor. So that's the split between those two numbers.
And also, can you explain a little bit more about, you're going to have like a wedding, suppose 300 people. So you need some sort of kitchen there, you know what I mean? So how do you envision that? Because you need to have freezers, you need to have equipment to warm up the food,
So we are working very closely with a number of local caterers, one of them of which has been a long-time personal friend of my family, and he was the executive director of food operations for the building next door before Little John's closed down. And Joel has been very helpful because they've catered multiple venues across the city, right? In helping us understand what's the baseline of a catering kitchen, and then what is, nice to have. And we have a pretty good grasp of what that is, right? It's some sort of prep surface, it's some sort of cooling places. We know we need a dishwasher. So to put in that, and when we talked with Deanna at the city, we talked very extensively with our contractor and said, how do we envision a catering kitchen that allows us to expand potentially in the future into a full commercial kitchen. Then we talked to the Latino chamber next door, and they said they're installing a commercial kitchen, and we were pretty excited to hear that there are opportunities for us to work with the chamber next door, with their chamber members to possibly be those caterers who help us provide food to those venues. Whether they're small events or larger events, it's harder to cater to really small events, so having something close by would be helpful. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. What about your storage area? Because I imagine that when you have a wedding, you need to have your table, your chair, and then when you have a ticket event, like a music event, maybe you need to have, some sort of small table, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a significant amount of underutilized space in that property that can be used for storage. Even potentially some of that locker room area that won't be used, right?
1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
You're going to remove
there's
those?
there's a 1,500 square foot basement.
Okay.
Not that would be good for chairs or tables, but.
Okay. Can you explain the phase 1, 2, and 3 in that graphic? So are you planning to? Phase 3 is men's. What is it? Locker.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, briefly explain. So phase 1 is basically everything in red. That's what we see that has to be done pretty much immediately before we can feel comfortable selling the space as an event venue. It's got to be cleaned up. So that's the flooring, the removal of the massage room, the removal of the nail salon area, and replacement of the flooring in the back sort of secondary hall as well. There's also a bar extension that we would be looking to remove that will allow for additional seating space. So that's phase 1 is what we see as kind of bare minimum of what has to happen. And then as we're able to book things and start bringing in some revenue, then that'll allow us to afford some of the other steps that we'd like to take, like polishing off a catering kitchen, and eventually maybe we may need to do some, we may like to do some bathroom updates, because right now they're really designed as a locker room for a gym, which is not really ideal for us, but we can wait till later to do that.
I have another question. If you are going to start, you say that phase 1, you're going to start operating as a phase 1, but also you don't need to have the phase 2 also ready, the kitchen ready to go for phase 1, 2?
Yeah, there would need to be a baseline catering kitchen in order to have caterers in there. Yeah,
okay.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to touch on something a little bit that Shelley and Stephen talked about, which is the private events versus in this CUP versus the prior one. I don't feel that this is even an even comparison, because this building has a history of being successful with private events and being able to run them successfully and not have issues. The other operator did not have that same experience in that same location, and I think that's what makes it different for me. I didn't approve the first one, you guys did, but I think Julia and I were the only two that voted against it. I just didn't feel it was a right fit for the neighborhood. And I think, it has nothing to do with the type of events that are coming in. They may have a Latin dance night some night, we don't know that. And it may be a private event that's by ticket. And I think that's fine, because like I said, I think they have operated there and they understand all of the nuances that are involved in that particular location. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Okay, are you ready to vote?
Are we
So we're going to be removing conditional number 5, and then are we going to 300 on number 7, or are we keeping it at 250?
I'd be good with 300.
Who feels great? You? Who else with 300? You?
If most are, I'm fine.
Okay, so.
Okay. I'll move to approve. Oh.
I'm sorry. I would also like us to consider removing 6 or not having the list of acceptable events. I think it just limits it.
Where? Which number?
Number 6,
Oh.
we list the private events that are allowed. I think we should consider just saying private events, private and ticketed events.
And events shall not be open to the general public at that end.
No, that one we keep that.
Yeah, but you could say private and ticketed events are allowed.
Okay.
Events shall not be open to the general public.
Yep. Okay. I'll move to approve conditional use permit CU-2556-24 with 15 conditions noted by staff, with 5 being removed, 6 being amended as just discussed to say that the following private and ticketed events are only private and ticketed events are allowed, and events shall not be open to the general public. Excuse me. And number 7 is increased from 250 to 300.
Second.
Can I offer a friendly amendment to that, to 300 predicated on approval of the fire department?
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep.
Oh, fire department. Okay. So all of in favor of the conditional use CU-2556-24 with all the additional recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel?
Forward to seeing.
As a personal aside, you should have led with Joel. I've known him and his parents for about 40 years.
Terrific.
So next we move the certified survey map ZS-2554-24 request by Wade Wise, agent from Tim O'Brien, to approve a certified survey map to allow a subdivision of one parcel into 3 buildable lots on property associated with 2747 South Seminole Highway. Okay, so do we have anyone here to speak?
Dave wants to speak on.
C. Okay, Dave on C. Do you want to speak in this one, Dave? B and C or no?
Just C.
C? Okay. Okay, C. Who is this one?
Okay, and this is David Haight.
For which one?
And this is the pic. He wants to
This
speak
one?
on. Yep.
Okay. Dave, you. The conditional use.
We don't have a conditional use for the O'Brien pickleball. We have a rezone. Yeah. Okay.
The CS. What is one? Number B or C?
We can just take him with B because I think he's more concerned
Okay.
about the CSM.
Yeah, you can come now. You have 3 minutes. Can you say your name and your address and,
So I apologize for killing trees here.
So David Haight, he wishes to speak. I don't know if from opposition or in support. I don't know.
Apologize for the trees, but
Oh, you killed so many. Oh.
Oh, yes, of course.
The what?
We can do that.
there we go. Perfect. All right, so this parcel is located right between the Sub-Zero wetland and the residential area of North Stoner Prairie, north of Lacey Road. So it's in that triangular piece. And then you'll note to the south there, what's shown in, so the green hatch are environmental corridors, and the red hatch is restorable wetlands. And the kind of square extension of the the urban services boundary is for the Edgewood project. Okay, so this sits right in the middle of perhaps one of the most sensitive hydrological and ecological areas in Fitchburg, and also one of the most problematic. And so my understanding is that this is an evidentiary hearing. And so what I want to do is I want to provide you with factual information, not opinion, factual information that you need to know to decide whether or not the conditions of approval are in fact met. So in 24.2, it establishes the conditions of approval, and the compliance is, in 24.2b, no division shall happen without compliance with all the requirements of this chapter and with, if we go down, it's 24.2b5, the rules of the State Department of Natural Resources relating to wetlands, floodplains, and erosion control. So my understanding after reading the case law is that in order for you as a body to have sufficient evidence to decide whether the approval conditions are met, and this is now on page 2, is that you need a list of all the things, all the laws from the DNR that fit in that particular category. And then you need sufficient evidence that each one of those particular rules of the DNR with regard to one of those categories is complied with. So what I'm going to get to is Wisconsin Admin Code NR 103, which is water quality standards for wetlands. And it was validated in the Rock-Koshkonong Lake District a few years back, 2013, that DNR is entitled to consider water quality standards in Wisconsin Administrative Code NR 103 when making water level determination, but it actually is broader than that. And so I don't think you've ever encountered NR 103, even though it's been promulgated in August 1st, 1991. So if you'll bear with me, I think it's important, not just for this, but for other issues, to go through what is the state water quality standard for wetland, because it clearly is something that falls under 24.2b5, rules of the State Department of Natural Resources relating to wetlands. It's the wetland water quality standard that applies to every wetland in the state of Wisconsin, mapped or unmapped. So NR 103, I'll go through this as quickly as I can. Its the purpose is to establish water quality standards for wetlands. Water quality standards protect public rights and interests. And in all cases where potential uses are in conflict, these water quality standards for wetlands shall be administered to protect the general public interest. What are wetland water quality standards? 103.03, in order to protect, preserve, restore, and enhance the quality of waters in wetlands and other waters of the state influenced by wetlands, the following water quality related functional values or use of wetlands within their range of natural variation of the affected wetland shall be protected. Storm and floodwater storage and retention, hydrologic functions, including the maintenance of dry season stream flow. There isn't any stream flow up on top. Discharge of groundwater to a wetland. There's none there. The recharge of groundwater from a wetland to another area, certainly true there. And filtration and storage of sediments, nutrients, toxic substance, habitat for aquatic organisms, habitat for resident and transient wildlife species, and recreational, educational, scientific, and natural beauty and uses. And the following criteria shall be used to assure the maintenance or enhancement of the functional values. And in 2E, hydrological conditions necessary to support the biological and physical characteristics naturally present in wetlands shall be protected to prevent significant adverse impacts on water currents, water temperature, chemical. So this is an evidentiary hearing. My understanding is in an evidentiary hearing that you as a body have the right to extend my time so that you may take my factual testimony. Obviously, I'm not giving you repetitive opinion about whether I like it or not. I'm trying to provide you with the information that's necessary for you to adjudicate whether or not this particular condition of approval is met.
Okay, thank you very much.
So the panel says no, is that right?
No, we are.
Oh, you're going to let me go?
No, we need the staff report, and then we are going to open. here Gus Newcomb. He wishes to speak in support and answer questions. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm the developer here. I'd like to just be short and sweet about it. I'd like to start by giving an overview of what our requests are, and then maybe open it up to Pam, who is going to be the owner of the pickleball facility, to give her overview of what that facility will be like. And then Pam and I can answer any questions that you may have. I'd like to start by thanking you guys for the platform and allowing me to share about this proposal to create 2 new lots and 1 outlot, and as well to amend the zoning on the property. So lot number 1 features a pickleball facility, or proposed pickleball facility. Here courts will be available for play and practice. Tournaments will be held, and food and beverage will be served in their restaurant. I believe that this facility is not only going to bring a strong amenity to Fitchburg, but it will bring a strong amenity to southern Wisconsin as a whole, because there really are none of these facilities in the area at all. The timeline for construction of the pickleball facility is to break ground on October 15th, roughly, of 24, and to complete and open doors around November of 25. Lot 2 will be a future mixed-use apartment building with roughly 36 units. As an additional amenity to this area, we'd like to construct a 5,000 square foot commercial space on the ground level of that building. The goal of that space would be to attract a tenant in the restaurant business and bring a restaurant to the area. The schedule for this building, we're still early on in the process of planning, so we don't have a defined schedule at this point. But our goal is to break ground in the spring of 25 and then open in the summer of 26. Outlot number 1, which I believe is called lot number 3 on your sheet, is one that it's the southernmost lot on the property, and it's one that would be developed at a future date. So lastly, I'd like to say, just briefly, the city of Fitchburg so far has been great to work with. We're looking forward to building that relationship and bringing these amenities to the community. Of course.
No, we are not in the public hall. We are in the certified survey map.
Okay.
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 Yeah, no, we are in B. Okay. So, Diana, do you want to do yours?
I'll do them together.
Together? Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open the public hearing and consideration of rezone RZ-55-24, request by Wade Wise, agent from Tim O'Brien, to rezone property from rural residential to general business to allow for an athletic facility, specifically a pickleball court on property associated with 2747 South Seminole Highway. So, so we have one person that wants to speak. We have Dave Herbst here. He wishes to speak in support. Dave, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't take 3 minutes. Just a quick, I'm in support of this. I work, within a half a block. Our business has many, many young people that are traveling over to McGaw Park to play pickleball quite often. If you look at the large cathedral point that's been built across the street from it, I think there's a demand for this. This will be a nice addition to the area there. And I think it'll fit in well with the whole concept with Edgewood, with what's going on down there and the new development in the area. So I am very supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, do we have anyone else?
I don't have anyone on my list. I don't know if anybody from the applicants yet. So.
Do you want to, anyone, the applicant, do you want to speak? Who is the owner?
I think I can't get her name, but.
She's there. Okay. Do you need to fill out a form after? Okay, after. Yeah, it's fine. Can you say your name and your address, please?
Pam Haig. We are planning to build a pickleball facility. The name of it is Court and Cork. Right now the plan is for it to be a 12-court facility. We'll have amenities like retail, a lounge with self-serve wine and beer, some light fare, flatbreads, cheese boards, and other snacks to pull in the social aspect of the sport. So what is, as Gus alluded to, lacking in the area is a pickleball facility that really leans into that social aspect of the sport that a lot of players are craving. And as we share our plans with members of some of the facilities in other parts of Madison, they are really excited to have this type of facility and ready to join. So we're excited to be able to offer that to the community. We also want to have youth programming. So we like after school lessons and even summer camps. And there will be lots of leagues, events, and we do want to support tournaments in the area as well.
Thank you. Okay, so we're ready for you. Okay,
I think so.
For your report, yes.
So as
So I need to close the public hearing.
Yeah.
So I will close the public hearing now. Okay.
So as noted by the applicants already, what is proposed is a rezone and a CSM to develop the property. It was already discussed that the applicants have requested that Lot 3 be changed to an outlot. This is just so that they can better stage the project and also better stage the public infrastructure. Lot 1 for the pickleball facility would be a flag lot of 2.6 acres, and this is required to provide that rear lot public road frontage. All of the proposed roads and drives would be private and would need to meet the public works standards and also fire department requirements. Shared access and public easements would be required and submitted to staff for review and also later recorded. Staff believes that the pickleball facility would have a massing consistent with the hop house. We do note that in order to proceed with the pickleball facility, the applicants will need to bring forward a conditional use permit and also an architectural design review application. The development of the proposed parcels will need to meet the conditions of BG zoning. That's what the request is, to rezone to business general. Lot 2, as noted, is expected to be developed as mixed use. This hasn't been done too often in Fitchburg, doing mixed use in the business general zoning district, but it is possible to do first floor commercial with apartments on the floors above. That does also require a conditional use permit. The proposed development for what is shown as Lot 3, but will be Lot 1, would be apartments, multifamily. To proceed with that development, that would require a minor comp plan amendment that may come forward later this year. The Public Works has requested a traffic impact analysis, so that is under in the works and will be reviewed. Staff does recommend approval of the certified survey map with the 15 conditions, and we also recommend approval of the rezone with the 3 conditions.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, any questions, comments from the commissioners? Who go first? Okay, I'm going to go first. So, I think this is a great idea, to bring this type of facility to the city because we are lacking of that. So, thank you very much. Can you tell us a little bit more about, your experience running this type of facility?
So this would be a first time running this type of facility. My background is in business, so I have financial planning and strategy. I did spend many years in hospitality earlier in my life, and have managed people and, like I said, spend a lot of time in business, so understand what's needed to have a sound strategy, understand the markets and your competition, make sure that your business is performing well, and adjust as needed to keep it successful.
Okay, thank you.
We would be hiring experts in pickleball, so we would hire a pro that would help us with the programming and make sure that we are setting that up successfully. And we would be hiring other staff to help us with engaging the members and customers, the youth programming, etc.
Okay. So why did you choose that location? I'm going to ask you that. And are you planning to take down that old barn?
That's a
yes. Yes, but we do want to salvage some of that barn and use it in the proposed development. So.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were looking for somewhere in the southern part of the county, so somewhere in Fitchburg, Verona area. We live in Oregon, and just know that this type of facility is needed in the area. We figure in Fitchburg we can draw from Madison, Verona, Oregon, and other places nearby, and feel like the location, for me, I have bad allergies right now, the location right off of Verona Road makes it convenient to pull in a good crowd. And then we have a good relationship with the owners of the Hop House. So we think we can partner well with the local businesses in that area as well. The schools are another great reason to have a pickleball facility there. Being able to provide programming for the kids is something that we really want to do.
Okay, thank you. Any other Carol?
So Gus, your family actually did the construction project for the Black Hawk Church, which is across the street, correct?
Yes.
And you guys were able to incorporate some of the materials from the Dunn Farm. Can you talk about that a little bit and how you incorporated those into that building and how this might cross over into how you would take some of the materials that are remaining and incorporate them in your new buildings?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did construct the Black Hawk Church, which is kind of, it's across the street and kind of kitty corner to this property. On that one, we took down the barn that was sitting on that property, and we reused some of the stone that I believe was a part of the foundation of that barn. And we used it around the fireplace in that church. That's in there today, and we plan to salvage a lot of the barn that is sitting on the property at 2747 Seminole, and somehow get that involved to the mixed-use component of the development, not so much in Pam's building, but definitely in the apartments. We would be looking to use some of that material.
If anyone wants to address Dave's comments. Carol.
Were there any staff concerns about stormwater in this particular project?
We are a little early at this point. The design team is working through the stormwater plans right now. But as you know, oftentimes at the CSM and at this rezone point, we're oftentimes in the earlier stages of the stormwater piece, but we have an excellent team here at the city with our city engineers that will work closely with Gus's team to ensure that we do comply with all state and federal regulations.
And those are included in our conditions. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, then, okay. Any other question, comment? No? Okay. So first, we're going to go to all these.
I'll move approval of certified survey map CS 2554 with the 15 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Second by Poole. Any comments, question?
I think it's a great facility, and I think it's a great fit for the area. I'm really excited about it.
Okay, all those in favor of the certified survey map CS-2554-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of rezone RZ 255524 with the 3 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Second by Poole. Any additional comments, question? Here none. All in favor of the rezone RZ-2555-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So next, we move to our next. I want to open the public hearing and consideration of conditional use CU-2557-24, request by Nick Petit of Trier Wheeler Construction, agent from Winger Real Estate LLC, to provide conditional use for a mineral extraction operation, specifically a temporary ready-mix plant on a portion of property associated with 2975 Capec Road. Okay, do we have anyone here?
Yep.
Yeah, we have Nick Petit. Can you come to the microphone, sir? He wishes to speak and answer questions. Okay, so I assume that you are in favor of this, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, here it is. Okay, so what is this? Okay.
Okay, so I work for Treeweller Construction. We're based out of Marshfield. We are looking to extend our conditional use permit for the 2975 Capec Road in Fitchburg. We've had our plant site set up there since 2015. Currently, it is still at that facility, and we would like to leave it there for the next couple years to bid DOT project and municipal projects in the area.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, stay there. Maybe there are additional questions. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to close the public hearing. So now we are going to staff report.
Okay, as Nick mentioned, this is a renewal of an existing conditional use. There has been previous conditional uses approved by Plan Commission for this portable batch plant in 2017, 2019, 2022. The current conditional use permit expired in last December of 2023. Staff just found it, is how I would say it.
It's expired.
Yes, and so it is currently expired at this particular point. All of basically the conditions and the operations are not changing for this. Staff, I will note that the applicant did suggest to extend the conditional use permit to 2027. Staff suggests to Plan Commission to consider that Plan Commission has recently approved a preliminary plat and a Plan Development District General Implementation Plan for Jamestown Quarry for that outfield area of the Wingra Quarry. So therefore, staff is suggesting that we actually sunset this conditional use permit on December 31st of 2025, just as a recognition of the potential changing uses that is in the works right now. So otherwise, staff does recommend approval of the conditional use permit, just with that sunset of December 31st of 2025. Certainly, if development on the infield doesn't proceed quickly, the applicants could come forward and request a renewal of the conditional use permit.
You don't do any blasting there, isn't it?
No.
Okay. Okay. Question, comment from the commissioners?
Do you have any objections to the sunset?
No, we don't. I mean, we would have liked to seen the conditional use permit extended an extra year, but I have no issue with it being out to 2025. I mean, even with that development there, if our batch plant is not set up where it's at, Wingra still has a ready mix site there, and I can't imagine that that's going to be going anywhere.
You never know.
Yeah, that's we'll say you never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other question, comment?
I was just going to say, for me, the idea of the conditional use plan is always to make sure that it's compatible with the uses around it. And I think if we end up with substantial residential units being added, I would like the opportunity to review it in 2025. So I agree with you. I think if you're fine with 2025, you come back in 26. If those apartments didn't happen, then maybe we can go another 2 years.
Yeah,
But I think that's what's going to be the
I have no
determining factor
problem
for me anyway.
with that.
Okay.
I'll move to approve conditional use permit request CU-2557-24 with the 5 conditions noted by staff.
Second.
So all those in favor of the conditional use, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, next we move to the final plat FP-2558-24. Request by John Thompson and Jane Bartol, agent for Thompson Engineer LLC, to create a preliminary plat to create 13 parcels, including 11 buildable lots on property located off Oak Meadow Drive. Okay, so we have one person to register to speak. Is Chris Downson. He wishes to speak and answer questions. Oh, this one is different. Oh.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Dawson with JSD. I'm working for John here. John is a little under the weather, so I'll try to answer most of the questions to help him out in that regard. This is our final plat application for the Oak Meadow Reserve plat, which has 13 parcels, 11 buildable lots, 2 outlots, one of which would be a stormwater outlet to serve these lots and comply with the city's ordinances and stormwater requirements. I guess the only difference really to point out here between what you saw previously with the P plat and the F plat here is a slight rearrangement of an addition of easements, including a U.S. Postal Service cutout for a cluster box unit, and a slight rearrangement of the sanitary alignment and associated easement to connect to Oak Meadow Drive, which just works as a better straight shot, if you will, between the existing sanitary sewer connection within the Nobel Ridge condominiums and the proposed structure on Oak Meadow Drive. Those are kind of the key differences that you'll notice if you compare the preliminary plat with the final plat, beyond the, I suppose, maybe typical cleanup that you would expect to see.
Okay, thank you. Diana?
Yes, so Plan Commission has seen this project several times now. Of course, this was a minor comp plan amendment earlier this spring, which was approved by Plan Commission and Council to take these lands from medium density to low density residential. You've reviewed and approved the preliminary plat and then also the rezone to medium high residential. And as noted by Chris, everything is consistent. Chris has worked very closely, Chris and his team and the public works staff have worked very closely to address the easements. It has not been an easy process, I know, when we have existing easements on a property. But I think we've got that all sorted out. Staff notes that the preliminary plat did trigger a tree inventory survey. That survey did not designate any desirable trees as defined by city ordinance for preservation. However, they will try to minimize impacts to trees as they're beginning the infrastructure work. Then staff recommends approval of the final plat with the 14 conditions.
I have a question because I am very concerned with the trees. So can you, I don't know, promise, but replant more trees that you remove in the subdivision?
The way we've prepared the plans is to minimize to the extent possible, I guess, for providing primarily the sanitary and other utility connections and the stormwater drainage facilities that are needed to serve these lots. We have tried to minimize any grading and disturbance that would have to occur outside of those impacts, so that future property owners can really dictate what gets to say, and where they might choose to plant further shrubs, trees, and other, I guess, landscaping materials.
But so you don't have any idea how many trees are you going to remove now?
Quantity-wise, I wouldn't put a number on it, but we have tried to minimize the impacts to the extent possible. Again, the majority of the trees out there are, per the definition of the ordinance, non-desirable, which, I think people generally like to see a tree canopy. So we are trying to install what we can so that the lots can be built on, while also, I guess, maintaining some power to the future property owners for what their landscaping looks like and what their tree canopy might be able to support.
Okay. Any question, comment? Shelley?
I have a question for Deanna. So the fifth condition, the public utility easement along the back lot line remains under consideration. Is this something we want to require to happen, or it's a wish list? I mean, I'm not, how it's worded, I'm not sure if it's a required condition or what.
The Assistant Director of Public Works is just not quite happy exactly with the, when I put together the memo on Thursday and Friday, the Assistant Director of Public Works still wanted to work on this easement a little bit, so that's a little bit of wiggle room in case there's some small modifications that can happen with that easement. So it's not necessarily, I just don't want it, I don't want to have Plan Commission approve the final plat and then we end up making some slight differences.
How far back is this easement there in the map? Can you show us?
What the easement that we're talking about is
okay.
in the behind.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think she wants an additional easement in the back.
And actually, that might be a point of clarification. My assumption was that it would be within the stormwater easement there, and not along Outlot 2. I guess with this language, I'm second guessing maybe what her intent was.
It wouldn't be. I think what she still wants to talk with you a little bit more, and the reason is because what we're trying to avoid is the above ground utility boxes up on the right of way. So that's why she still wants to explore a little bit more with Chris and his team, and so I'm sorry this isn't confusing, but it's allowing a little wiggle room on the easements.
So you're saying right now there would be an above ground, and where Public Works is hoping to eliminate the above ground.
Well, the existing easement along the right-of-way allows above ground utility infrastructure. And she would like to offer the utility companies a second easement at the rear of the lot so that they could put the tall boxes to the front instead of the rear. But we haven't had quite enough time to sort out all of that and the implications of that.
And who pay for all this? Is the developer pay for moving all of this?
Nothing's moving. There's the infrastructure.
But she said that she wants the
we're
big
just
boxes
talking
in the
about
front.
easements.
Yeah, but she said that she wants you mentioned that she wants the big boxes in front of it.
She doesn't want the boxes in
she
the
doesn't.
front.
Oh, okay.
She wants the boxes in the back of the lot.
Okay.
So all I was trying to say with the number 5 was that there might be some minor changes in the easements that come back here once we get to the final plat. What is proposed will remain consistent with what's before you tonight, but we still might do some tweaks on those easements.
I'll move approval of final plat FP 2558-24 with the 14 conditions as noted by staff.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor of the final plat, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, so we are F, our final one. It's an ADR Permar outbuilding request by Trevi Lesser, agent from Shamrock Properties LLC, to obtain architectural design review approval for a proposed outbuilding to be installed on the commercial property associated with 2851 Index Road. We have someone online that he wishes to speak. Is Travis Lesser? Hi, Travis.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't make it tonight. My wife is on her last leg of pregnancy, so we're trying to, we're planning ahead for that. So, yeah, I couldn't come to the meeting tonight, but I'm available for any questions. I do have a question a little bit on the landscaping side of stuff, but yeah, I mean, this is a pretty basic addition to this property, just a building, a cold storage building for them to put a couple vans in. It's a very, very minimal. So, whatever question you guys have for me, let me know. It's 1,200 square foot. The only really question that I have is on the landscaping side of stuff is what specifically you guys are requesting. If you look at the site plan, to the north is about a 40,000 square foot facility. It's kind of cut off on that site plan. If you want me to, I can share my screen. But this building directly kind of sits back behind this huge, massive building to the north. You're really not going to see this structure at all. So, and it's a pretty industrialized area as a whole also. If you can see all of the buildings to the south, it's a fairly industrialized area. And again, how with the magnitude or the minimal amount of magnitude of how small this building is, I'm not really sure what's requested, I guess, but I'm open to questions, comments. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Diana, can you?
Yep. This proposal is the addition of that didn't turn out right, but of an outbuilding for the purpose of storing 2 to 3 security vans. Inside, the structure is proposed to be wood frame with steel and roofing and steel siding. The facade is proposed to be windowless with 2 garage bays and 1 access door to the side. Applicants note that there will be an 8-inch concrete wall built into the grade, but no concrete will be exposed to the exterior. The building is proposed to have electricity and lighting elements added in the future, but does not anticipate water or sewer service. Staff suggested some landscaping on the northern boundary. I will allow some comments from Plan Commission if you think some additional landscaping would be appropriate here. The applicants noted that there will not be any lighting added, but if staff notes that if there is exterior lighting added in the future, it should be full cutoff or dark sky. So staff recommends approval with the 8 conditions, and I will take your direction on what you feel is appropriate for some landscaping.
Can you show us where is going to be the building?
Yep.
There?
Yep.
Oh, that is square. Okay.
Yep, it's right in here. So here's Index Road. North is to the top. And so it will be coming off that parking area right here.
Or what type of landscaping do you want?
Is there any chance I could share a screen of an overall site of everything to the north also?
1 second, let me ask Nick. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so can you help him, Nick?
I should be able to help
Okay,
here
can you do
also.
it? Okay. I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
sometime.
should be good.
Sometime
Okay.
that option is
Let me
not
know
there.
what you guys can see.
Okay, we can see now. Okay. Go on.
Okay, so this building, if you're looking at it, is going right here.
Oh, okay, 1 second. We
what
can see, I can see it in my screen, but we cannot see it on the big one. 1 second, Travis. Okay,
Sorry.
now, okay. Okay.
Are you good?
No. Yes, now.
Okay, so if you look at where this building is going, it's actually going right here where these dumpsters are at currently. If you can see this parking lot, it doesn't extend past here. This is all grass. And this building to the north is like 50,000 square feet. You're really not going to see this structure whatsoever. And along with everything that's to the south, I just don't know what there is we could do for landscaping that's going to really do anything. What we're trying to do here is if you look at a grading plan of this, this goes from east to west downhill. We're actually building this building into the hillside to try to hide it even more. Thus the concrete walls will be embedded into the hillside. So it's going to sit a little bit lower than it's going to make it feel a lot shorter anyways. So yeah, there's a few trees already here. Those trees are staying. They're not going to do anything. They're not leaving. We're just going to be excavating an area right in here. Everything else is really staying the same. No additional paving, nothing really crazy. So,
Okay.
but I just wanted to point out to the north of how the proximity to this structure as a whole. So,
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have any objection with the landscaping. So I don't know you guys. No?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me to not have any requirements in that regard.
Okay, well then, if that is not necessary, staff would welcome removal of number 4.
Okay, so they're going to be 7. Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I'll move to approve ADR Permar outbuilding with the 7 conditions noted by staff, with 4 being removed.
Second.
All those in favor of the ADR, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you, Trevi. Good luck.
thank you guys. Have a good day.
Okay, so we are at the end of our agenda. Next we move to item 6, report from department. So we are going to start with Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee's report. Any reports?
Yes, we met today, and there was some discussion on the Farmland Preservation Ordinance update, but we're still working on that. There was an update from Deanna on the well ordinance, and you might recall that the well ordinance was changed a while ago to allow for new wells, even if they're near a municipal connection, if it was for non-potable purposes. And the Ag Committee wanted to make the ordinances clear that if there's an existing well on ag land that services the residents along with livestock in the farm, that if it fails, that they would be able to replace it, regardless of where it's sited. Because right now it's grandfathered in, and so they want a replacement to also be, in a sense, subject to the grandfathering. And then Deanna presented proposed ordinance that accomplishes some of that, but it does seem to try to compromise between the city policy preference to have connections to municipal water, but then allow for some replacement. And that was objected to by the members of the Ag Committee, and they moved to, I'm not sure the language, but basically they want an ordinance that is going to say very simply that a replacement well can be grandfathered in, or a new replacement well is possible regardless of how near a municipal connection it is. So there was a vote on that, and that's the position of the Ag Committee, and other than that, nothing happened.
So when we are going to see that ordinance moving forward?
I believe Public Works has requested that the city attorney do one last review, but hopefully will be referred out first meeting in August.
Okay. What was the compromise option?
Yeah.
But can you tell us about that?
Well, the thinking from Public Works was, well, first of all, of course, Public Works did not support having a replacement well that would be used for drinking for people, right? So the compromise that Public Works sees is that, yes, on agricultural zone land, it would be possible to replace a well and allow it to still connect to an existing farmstead, only if that farmstead was at least 150 feet away from the right-of-way. And I think in general, Ag and Rural Commission did not support that 150.
But also, if we do that, we do this in agricultural zoning, not in residential.
Right. No, that's not changing. It's only in agricultural zoning, so it'd be AX, exclusive ag transitional, and then small lot ag.
So I don't want the 150. I think the one that we did last year, it was a special circumstance. It was a not-for-profit organization. So it was,
and it would, and that of course, as Shelley mentioned, allowed a new well in specific use.
A specific use, but it's not drinkable
water. But not for
human
consumption.
Exactly.
But not for human consumption.
Okay.
And Ag and Rural believes that there should be the opportunity to replace an existing well for human consumption.
One thing is repairs versus replacement. You know what I mean? So that one, we have to define those, And replacement for me is like too extreme, because you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have that discussion.
You're probably going to have that discussion.
Can I ask, is the ordinance you're bringing forward the one that the Ag and Rural Affairs said no to? Because that sounds like that's the staff recommendation, so that's what's going to be brought forward.
They really didn't need to vote tonight.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't formal
It was
refer.
a discussion.
They just felt, yes, it was a discussion item, but they felt very strongly.
Well, but you need to bring the staff.
Tracy is, yes, Public Works has written out her staff one. The city attorney's reviewing
the
it.
original, and then if the commission want to change it, it's another thing.
Yep.
Okay, any other thing, Shelley? No? Okay, thank you. TTC, Gabriela.
We did not meet since the last Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, so any announcement? No?
I just have a question. From last meeting, we had that whole discussion about the medium high density residential, and we sent it back to Common Council with 15 based on what we felt was best. How did that go?
It has not gone back to council yet.
Oh.
I think it's next week.
The first meeting in August, it goes back.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, in August, the first one? Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We've already did the public notices.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I have that
Yes.
long timeline.
Open house.
Open house for what?
Well, if you'll allow me, I do have.
Oh, yeah, you have a. Oh, I forgot. You have report from the department. I forgot you.
You forgot me.
Sorry.
I do have a few items just quickly. The staff did interview for the Community Development Program Coordinator last Wednesday, and then we finished up our last interview on Monday morning. Great applicants. We're working on, we have made an offer, so we're working through that process. Staff has scheduled an open house for the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan for July 31st at 5:30 in this room.
It's an open house.
Yep, it's an open house, and this will be in conjunction with the Greenfield survey. So the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan will have a survey It might be live today, but staff will put out a formal announcement here very soon.
Can you send a link?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
thank
We'll get that shared, and that survey will be open through the open house on July 31st. Probably a couple days yet after that.
I have a question. Is that survey is only open to the people that live in that neighborhood? It's open to the whole city.
Sure, anybody wants to do it.
Send the link.
Well, and so, but there is, we do have a question in there about your location. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, if you're within the neighborhood, or is it like 2 miles or something? I can't
2
remember.
miles, okay.
But there's a couple locational questions in there. South Stoner Neighborhood Plan is also moving ahead. We are working on the preferred option now and moving into the more engineering and the traffic kind of pieces. So whenever you would like to do a formal presentation, I'm happy to do that to Plan Commission.
Oh, yeah, we can do it. Okay, next meeting.
Yep. Another great thing, one last one, another great announcement, the hub groundbreaking, except I'm not supposed to use hub. I'm sorry, Mike.
We don't have a name yet.
We don't have a name yet. But the groundbreaking for our wonderful new hub in air quotes is on July 31st at 3:30 p.m.
Yes.
So everyone's
You're seeing the
invited.
light. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Any question for Diana or Zach?
I have one other announcement before we wrap. I just wanted to tell the commissioners if you haven't done the strategic plan survey for the city yet, it closes in
July
3
19th,
days
yeah.
on July 19th. So if you haven't done it yet, I would encourage you to take it in the next 3 days. Thank you.
And tomorrow we have a groundbreaking at 2 o'clock from the Spring Hill Hotel.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what is Limestone and Nesbitt Road. So everyone is invited. It's another hotel. This is great. Same family. Okay. Okay. So I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at 8:17, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So thank you very much. See you next month.